What's up, everybody? Welcome to Deep Dive Sessions. My name is Taro. Thank you for stopping by. If you have watched any of our content up to this, actually, if you've watched any of our content at any time, please make sure that you subscribe. We've realized that about 60% of you that watch our content have not yet subscribed. So I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds just to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you for subscribing. Today, I'm going to be breaking down a video that I've really got a lot of requests from it. It's basically what are some of the top recommendations or my top 10 books that I have come across and that I've read and that I've found knowledge in and valuable insights in. And so there's going to be a mixture of books that are local, that are from local authors, and then also books that, international authors and all that. So I'm just going to be breaking them down in no particular order, just for anybody that really wants to get into these books. And let me know if you've read any of these books. Comment below. All right, so coming in number 1 is Becoming an Entrepreneur. Yes, zoom in. Becoming an Entrepreneur, Moemedi Senwelo. So I started reading this book in, I think, late 2021. That was before we had him on the podcast. And this is a very small book. It's about 176 pages. Very small, bite-sized book. But for anybody that's starting out in entrepreneurship, especially if you know nothing and your brain spanking new and you just want to try to figure things out, I would highly recommend this book. It goes into why start your own business, what is entrepreneurship, characteristics of entrepreneurs, models of entrepreneurship. I actually like that chapter. How to come up with a feasible business idea, due diligence, vision, innovation, how to raise capital. It's so much just packed into this small book. And by the way, none of these books are, sponsored. I wish they were. So these guys should be paying me this crap. Anyway, this is a very, 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 very important book, and I would highly recommend it for anybody that wants to start that journey in entrepreneurship. Coming in number 2 is this massive book. This is called The Prosperity Bible. I actually got a major deal when buying this book because it was much cheaper than, I bought it for much cheaper than it retails for. And so, as you guys can see right here, there's actually a bookmark. So I'm actually about to finish this book. It has 17 books in here, from Think and Grow Rich, Acres of Diamonds, Science of Getting Rich. That's why they call it the Prosperity Bible. So it's all the books that have to deal with getting money and getting rich and just, attaining to financial freedom. And so in this book, I read Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich was one of the first books that I ever read in the beginning. I remember in varsity days around 2017 is one of the first books I read that started me on my personal development journey. And it was a book that really did massive shifts for the way I think. I had what they call paradigm shifts. I started seeing things very, very differently. When you read the book, it has chapters on desire, how to have that burning desire. Then it goes into, faith. It goes into all other aspects. And it's a book that I highly recommend. It's written by Napoleon Hill. And it was written, I think, close to 50 to 100 years back by Napoleon Hill. He interviewed some of the top business people in his time, and he used those and put them down. He put the insights and learnings from them and put them in and made a masterpiece of Think and Grow Rich. I'm actually rereading it probably the 3rd time right now. Coming in number 3 is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. I don't have a physical copy. I actually used to download them from PDF Drive, so that's actually what you guys can use. But nowadays, it doesn't work anymore. The site doesn't work. You can't actually download books from there. But I read that book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. That's the book I've read more than any other book. Very, very powerful book. It's more mentality, and it really helps put you in that head game that puts you on the road to succeeding. So that book has chapters in there. I remember something that stood out for me. Actually, I printed some of the things in that book. It has about 17, he calls them declarations, ways that the poor and the middle class think differently from the rich, or the ways in which the rich think very the ways in which the rich act and think differently from the poor and the middle class. And so in that book, there's so many lessons that I got from there: money lessons, mindset lessons, and even just how to deal with certain issues and certain aspects of life as you're navigating your journey on entrepreneurship. So for me, that is a top recommendation. I've read it 4 times. I think it's the one I've reread more than any other book. And to be fair, I read the first time, I don't think I really got the gist of it. I actually had to read it the very second after just after putting the book down, I started it again. And it's one of the books that I cherish to this day. So it's a recommendation. It's a book I highly recommend. T. Harv Eker. Check it out on any of the, I think it's on Amazon. You can get a copy for yourself over there. Coming in on number 4 is hit the like button and comment below on your biggest takeaway, and definitely subscribe to the channel and make sure that you are a deep diver. So number 4 is Mom Nuggets of Grit, from the Kettle Post to Serial Entrepreneurship. This is a book that I've read, and very power-packed book, I must say. It's written by, one of our local authors and entrepreneurs in Botswana, Mr. Mogobe, who I've had on the podcast twice now. You guys can actually check out those episodes and watch them over there. And so what really stood out for me in this book is how he really went. It's basically like an autobiography. It talks about his life from start, from where he grew up to all the way into becoming a serial entrepreneur. Some of you that are watching this video definitely know him, and he has done very well for himself. He's a very accomplished businessman, and he leaves no stone unturned. So that for me was very interesting to see that somebody of his caliber could really just give the game out like that. Because a lot of the times, when certain people get to certain levels, they start to gatekeep the game. But Mr. Mogobe was able to go through and explain everything, literally everything. He even talks about, I remember he sent me an excerpt of the book, a chapter before it even came out. And interestingly enough, that's actually one of my favorite chapters in the book, where it's the gentle giant, and he talks about everything he owns and how he thinks about his investments and his strategies and philosophies. So for anybody that really wants to learn a lot, especially about the business and even the space in real estate locally, this is a book that I highly recommend. And I think the title is right there in terms of nuggets of grit, because in his entire life, you realize that it was just about being gritty. It was just about never giving up. It was just about keeping on and just pushing and moving forward, which is really the story of entrepreneurship for many of us. Just not giving up and just keeping the vision inside. And so I highly recommend this book. You can check out Mr. Mogobe's work and get yourself a copy. I think at the moment it retails for 399 Pula, which I think is a steal for the amount of information in this book. So recently, at the time of recording this episode, the one I'm about to reference will be out. And so we had Dr. Shogo on the podcast as the Forbes edition. And during that time, he showed us one of his books, and it's called Invest Men. Basically, simply put, this book is the game in terms of networking, how to network effectively and use your network. I think this is where a lot of us struggle, because when we get into entrepreneurship, we start hustling, we start working, and when we're supposed to actually go out there and use our network and leverage the network that we have created and even build a better network, we don't have that skill. So this book is simply that, how to network effectively and how to use your network. And so Dr. Shogo really goes into those effective strategies and how to really do it well, even for introverts. Introverts like saying, I'm not good at networking, I can't do this, I don't know how to talk to people and all that. But this book is for you. So please get yourself a copy of Invest Men by Dr. Shogo. Obviously, his video will be out by the time of this recording, and so you can check out his links on that video, and all of these will be linked to this video so that you can check it out. Dr. Shogo is actually a very accomplished businessman and coach, high performance coach, and he coaches many amazing business owners who have achieved many, many amazing things. And so when he talks about network, he's somebody that is worth listening to. All right, so coming in number 6 is a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Oof, this was actually the first book I read. I keep saying first, hey? No, but Think and Grow Rich was one of the first. This was the first book I read. I remember it distinctly. There's also Varsity Days. And, the book says Outliers, the story of success. It made me see success in a much different light, and even just how we perceive success and think it is, a lot of the times it is not. And so that book was very, very pivotal in the way I saw success. And there's something in there that to this day I still live by. There's a chapter in there where he talks about the 10,000 hour rule, where he says that it takes about 10,000 hours intentionally reiterating something, or of practice, or doing one thing for you to get to world class or mastery of it. And so when you look at some of the people that are doing anything at the highest level, you can go to sports, you can go to business, you can go to arts, you can go to culture. Look at them and you might even gauge that these people have put in 10,000 hours or more in that. And so in that's when I really got to understand that anything can be an equation, even business is an equation, in just how much effort you put into something and how much quicker you can get good at something. And so that's a very, very high recommendation for me right there. Number 7 is a book called The Millionaire Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. This one also is, it was just probably just a redirection for me, just to realize what actually matters, Essentially, even when you hear the title, The Millionaire Who Sold His Ferrari, it's just talking about, understanding what's vanity and what's not vanity, and understanding what really matters, even to success. Although you can have the accolades, you can have all these other things, there's what matters and what doesn't really, really matter in the grand scheme of things. Make sure that you don't succeed on the wrong wall. You don't climb up the ladder and you find out it's on the wrong wall. So that was very pivotal in that for me. Oh yes. And then coming in at number 8 is The Millionaire Next Door. That's actually a very nice book that I read. Basically, it's the author interviewed a bunch of millionaires and looked at what they did, how they spent their money, and their habits. And in there, it was just showing, the disparity between people that are always struggling financially and people that have made it financially and continue to make it financially. And it comes down to simple principles, and these are the things that if you don't know, you're just going to be living in the same rut, because awareness helps you build better habits. And so reading that book was very exciting for me, and it was also an eye-opener, because I saw a lot of things, even in my own experience, that I was doing very wrong with the money that I was getting. And for a lot of people, the majority of people struggle with, and they go through their lives trying to figure out why they are not getting ahead financially. And this book is for the person who is struggling financially and wants to figure this entire game out. I definitely recommend that one. Oh yes. And then coming in at number 9 is Cracking It by Moemedi Senwelo with Saidi Mdala. It's also a second recommendation from me for his book. Basically, this is his book and how he built his tutoring company, basically the empire, because I think to date they have the largest or most amount of tutoring outlets in Botswana and in South Africa, and they're now expanding to different countries. I think the last time I was following, they were going to Namibia and other places. And for somebody that's local to see the ability of Motswana Tshwanaloena exporting their business and making it international, for me it was very powerful. And this book motivated me in many, many ways, especially because I myself own a tutoring company. So I wanted to understand the game from somebody that's really doing it well. And so this was a very, very powerful book in how he built that. And when you build something that is very big like this, you go through so many challenges. And, he talks about even how, he had to part ways with his partner and all these things. These are real life stories that we experience on a day-to-day in business. And so I highly recommend it for somebody that wants to take their business and scale it up. This is your book. Coming in at number 10 is a book, the biggest book that I read in terms of pages is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. This book was like a manual, to be honest. It's not it's not fun. It's like a manual. You actually have to read the book and understand. So basically, Tony Robbins sat down with 50 of the world's top investors and got their best investment tips or investment advice from them. It took me 3 months to read this book. It's a couple of pages long. The book I was reading was close to 1,000 pages long. And I always say to anybody that ever gets to sit through this book that the moment you finish reading this book, you'll probably be ahead of 95% of the population in terms of understanding how money works, in terms of understanding how to make money, and actually not even how to make money, but more how to multiply money. How to take 100 pula and turn it into 1,000, and 1,000 into 10,000, 10,000 into 100,000. This book is a high recommendation in my list because I don't think there's any advice out there of you having the top 50 investors, from all asset classes, institutional investors, different people and different demographics. And he took them and put them in, and he compressed all of this in one book that is easy to read for anybody, for the average person. So I highly recommend this book. And if you guys have found value in any of in this video, actually, if you guys have found value in this video, make sure to give it a like, comment below on your biggest takeaway, and even give us some of your best recommendations. I'd like to read some of your recommendations and some of them because I want to add to my reading list. And massive shout out to UB Innovation Center for hosting us and giving us a home for this episode. Make sure you interact with their work. Make sure you look at their Facebook pages and what they do. They're doing very, very well for students, and they're incubating businesses in this very place. So without further ado, we're going to meet same time, same place next week. Be great. Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Deep Dive is dedicated to bringing you the most comprehensive and engaging information about business, personal finance, and personal development. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. If you liked this video, give it a like to show your support and help us reach a wider audience. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family who may be interested. Sharing helps us grow our community and connect with like-minded individuals. Leave a comment below and give us your biggest takeaway on this episode. If you're interested in being a part of our live studio audiences, make sure to register for the next show. Can't make it to the show? No problem. Check out our Patreon page to watch the full episode and get exclusive access to more great content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Deep Dive.